What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Perfect World Masters. This is Game 2 between Immortals and Blue Pikachu. Game 1 was a little bit clowny by the end of it, but still a convincing display of power from our new Korean overlords. But I knew I didn't say all the right things. That's why I decided to bring in some reinforcements. Got an NA expert here. Franz, how you doing, man?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know you've been casting a lot more NA than I have with MRP recently. So, maybe you can shed a little bit more light as to what actually goes on in these drafts. A little bit more than I can, but man, it seems like we're having a really big resurgence of Io and Io Tiny in particular. Blue Pikachu first phased both of those heroes in Game 1.
So Io is sort of a hard hero to deal with if you as a team are not prepared. And so there's generally two bases you have to cover in order to deal with an Io. One of them is to make sure that their Io team doesn't have an advantage coming out of the early game, because if they do, then in the mid game, it makes it a lot easier for them to relocate gank you. And then the other base you have to cover is to make sure that you can actually split push safely without having to worry about just the Io and another hero relocating on top of you. And so Lich and Weaver, these are two heroes that are pretty good at dealing with the Io. The Lich kind of shuts down Blue Pikachu's early game, and the Weaver is a hero that is able to escape from relocate ganks with relative ease.
Rupture is going to be somewhat of a tool here for Blue Pikachu to actually deal with this Weaver. I don't expect this to be like the quote-unquote Io combo. There's sometimes we see teams just pick up an Io and a whole bunch of heroes who do okay with the Io and just kind of use the Io as a general mobility tool, like a get out of jail free card. Of course, that regen is certainly very nice as well. But Immortals opting for this very early Weaver, perhaps looking for a little bit of a change of playstyle. They were very convincingly team fighting in the last game. This time, Weaver doesn't really do that. Lich can sometimes do that, but definitely not with the Weaver on his team. So perhaps playing a little bit more of a pokey elusive, get a couple of pickoffs type style. Got to try to look for those assassinations. So either way, Puck, MP just got done putting up a clinic with that hero, and we've seen Immortals destroy everyone with Monkey King, as well as the Tiny and Underlord, all going to get banned out. Immortals certainly respecting that kind of broken map mobility of both an Underlord and Io.
Yeah, so Underlord and Tiny is obviously a hero that does really well with Io, and Underlord is a hero that I think has a very easy execution at what he does. And Underlord does two things very well. He pushes waves and defends towers really well with Firestorm, but he also helps his team fight really well because of all the utility items that Underlord brings to the table. And so Immortals or Dubu probably thinking that Underlord would be a very powerful hero for Blue Pikachu. He bans that out, and I think one of the sort of characteristics of the Immortals and Dubu as a captain is just this emphasis on the early game and then making the right rotations from the 5 to 10 minute mark. And you'll see that Immortals, they really like making macro movements as a team to take towers. Whereas some teams, they might try to make like quick skirmishes here and there to sort of mix up the enemy team. Immortals, it feels like it's not like they're necessarily 5-manning, but there's an emphasis on grouping up in the early to mid game. And so heroes like Lich, Weaver, Kunkka, they're all very good at that. Weaver and Klinks are probably some of the best heroes at that kind of playstyle, just because they usually do well in their lanes, which means that they'll be online at a certain point around 5 to 10 minutes, and they also have mobility skills, which makes them very good at TPing in when a fight is already occurring and helping their team.
We saw that in Game 1 is they had QO on the Bloodseeker. Add that to the list of Weaver, Klinks, Bloodseeker, like heroes that may not always be looking for kills necessarily, but if the opportunity arises, grab a TP scroll, and they can very easily get in, do some serious damage, and get out. And speaking of heroes that do that, we have now Ember Spirit, the pick for the Immortals side, trying to match the mobility of this Blue Pikachu's draft, kind of pick for pick. Kunkka, of course, pretty darn good up against that Io, is decent versus the Bloodseeker as well. We've seen a couple of teams mix in Kunkka, but it's kind of been hit or miss as of late. Do you think this hero is actually just good? I think the hero is just good to pick up most of the time.
Yeah, so this hero provides two things very well. He catches heroes quite well with X, and he also provides a ton of team fight for his team. The only problem I think with Kunkka is that in the early game, he's kind of hit or miss as a position 4, right? Like if he doesn't hit the torrents, or if he's not effective enough in the early game, you'll see he and his team will fall behind. He has to get his level 6 from somewhere, and sometimes his team will suffer because of that. But Immortals, they have Ember Spirit, which I think is one of the strongest heroes from the level 7 to 12 mark. I think he probably has some of the highest damage outputs just from that level 4 Flame Guard and high level Steering Chain. So it also fits Immortals' strategy of grouping up early, and it provides them a way to split push against the IO lineup in the late game.
And Blue Pikachu now picking up a CK. We'll have another stun coming out of this hero up against a Weaver and Ember Spirit. You need to stack up as many stuns as you can get. Chaos Bolt, maybe not the perfect stun, but coming out of a one position hero, you really can't be too picky as far as how your disables are going to come out. With that being said, you mentioned the overall damage output of the Ember Spirits. You either got to blink away from him and try to get away from that entirely, or just move really quickly away from it, or you just have to throw magic into it, try to break it, because after that is down from an Ember Spirit, his offensive power is cut down by a lot, and you can actually deal with him afterwards. And Blue Pikachu, it seems like they only really have that runaway type strategy available to them. AA and IO, I mean, they can end up doing a lot of magical damage, but it is incredibly situational with their levels, with how their abilities land. Bloodseeker and CK kind of light in that regard as well, so that shield from the Ember Spirit is going to be doing a lot of damage here. But Blue Pikachu do have still what look like are going to be some pretty powerful lanes. CKAA is like one of the oldest combos in the book, and it can seriously crush an offlaner. Now we have an Enigma for Blue Pikachu, adding a little bit of team fight to the mix.
So something I'm worried about with Blue Pikachu's lineup, now that we've seen all 5 heroes, is it's not easy for them to catch the Weaver and the Ember. Of course, if you black hole any of these 2 heroes, they're guaranteed to be dead, but aside from the black hole, Blue Pikachu can't exactly catch these high mobility heroes, and so I can see a scenario in the early to mid game where they don't want to expend the black hole, but they can't stop Immortals from sort of running around the map and getting what they want. Chaos Knight, of course, does have a stun, but it's not the best stun, right? Like Ember Spirit can react to it. Weaver can get some distance from it, and so Blue Pikachu, if they're not careful with the early game, then I can see Immortals slowly out farming them in the mid game.
It's definitely the downside of going for both AA and IO. Like, they do a lot together, but the one kind of glaring weakness in the two of them is that they just don't disable anyone outside of a Miracle Cold Feet to land on one of these Immortals heroes, which with these set of cores is looking like it's going to be pretty unreasonable to expect that to happen, as Immortals grab a Brewmaster. Haven't seen a lot of this hero, but I've been very impressed in every single game that he's appeared in. And much like the Ember Spirit, much like the Weaver, is a hero that kind of demands crowd control answers, and he will have, assuming the micro is at all decent, quite a few answers now to these Blue Pikachu heroes. Enigma, the last pick from Blue Pikachu, again, gonna give them that team fight, gonna give them that ace in the hole, but for sure Immortals have answers, especially with this Brewmaster pick, to that Enigma. And just in lane, if it's gonna be a Brewmaster, well, actually it looks like MP is gonna be handling Brewmaster. We don't really know, but Brewmaster is just a fantastic hero to be going up against Bloodseeker. Like, missing your attacks as Bloodseeker sucks, man.
It does suck, and I think, if anything, the Brewmaster gives Immortals a frontliner for their lineup. They needed someone to stand in the front so that, they can scout out information about the Chaos Knight and team fights, and just have like this sort of tanky offlane hero that is very difficult to kill, and if you don't burst him, then he gets his ultimate off every time. And Blue Pikachu, although they do have quite a bit of burst damage between the Chaos Knight and the Ancient Apparition, I don't think they have enough stuns to go around for this entire Immortals team. So if you're on Immortals, you're thinking, hey, as long as we don't get Black Hole together, or as long as we take these team fights sort of in a way where Blue Pikachu can't deliver all their damage at once, then we should be fine, right? And Panda kind of emphasizes that kind of gameplay, because if the Brewmaster hero himself punishes teams that can't kill him in a hurry. Both teams doing some warning.
See you in pubs later. Just some happy Dota going on right now. Looks like at least from Blue Pikachu, lanes are more or less what you would expect. Looking at the Immortal side, well, we have MP. It's going. The MR Santa. Okay, never mind. It's no longer happy. It's no longer happy. MP, the sometimes mid lane, is going to be handling the Brewmaster. Of course, Immortals do switch up Kyo and MP quite a bit, depending on hero comfort, depending on matchups and whatnot. But for Ev on the off lane, currently with Febby, maybe looking for a little bit of poking play here. Again, Shikuchi, level 1, is not the most powerful of abilities since its cooldown is very long, but this position with a Torrent, how good is their mechanics?
I mean, they can stop CK from getting the red.
Oh, he dodges the Torrent, and then he snatches it and is on his way. With the taunt, of course, because it wouldn't be a good play if he didn't taunt. Forev is not even getting hit with the Chaos Bolt. Again, it's only a 1 or 2 second stun. And in that time, you can't really do all that much damage. 3 heroes, Chilling Touch, maybe like force out a salve or something like that, but that's about it. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a 3-1 rune split in favor of Immortals. The Bloodseeker does get his, but Bloodseeker also just doesn't have a way of really ever getting rid of the shield from the Ember Spirit, so once it's up, it's staying up.
Yeah, and I think the Bloodseeker is just going to have a lot of trouble in this lane because it's a Lich and Kunkka in the, on the sideline. Really, the lane to watch is probably going to be this top lane to see if they end up shutting down Forev, because if the Immortals get both of their Ember Spirit and Weaver cores up, then it becomes exceedingly difficult for Blue Pikachu to get anything done in the mid game, just because these two heroes are so hard to catch. They themselves don't have a lot of catch. I mean, the only catch on their team is Chaos Knight, so I think as a result, they're moving this Lich top, and we're taking a little bit of damage here.
Well, who's really taking the damage here? Because Forev's gonna Shikuchi into Alrin. He does have save right behind him with 2 Fairy Fires, so the save is definitely there. A little bit of pun intended, but over in the mid lane, we can see the Bloodseeker having an unfun time, so much so that he had to go into all chat and let his opponents know that this is not a fun situation for him to be in. Yeah, it's rough, man. It is rough going up against these two heroes. Febby has actually picked up level 2 in the Tidebringer just for harassment purposes up against this Bloodseeker, opting to go for that instead of the X marks and the actual kill power of the Kunkka. They really don't want this Bloodseeker to have an easy time, but at the same time, Ember Spirit is going to be dropped very, very low. Kyo needs some regen really quickly, but they do see the Io rotate out of top lane. Now we see Immortals maybe looking for a play of their own up towards top, forever trading evenly with this CK. And so by evenly, I mean he's actually going to get a big upper hand in that exchange.
I think the only lane that's going truly well for Blue Pikachu is the bottom lane with Ryu Dota, but that's just the nature of an Enigma lane. You get to deny a lot of creeps. He's got a slight advantage on MP, but I don't imagine that advantage will amount to anything. I think the first big rotation that could be made by this game is going to be from Immortals, just because their level 6 is a lot stronger than DP's. Especially if you consider that they have a couple ways to cancel the Black Hole with Torrent, Slight Chains, and Panda Ultimate.
Is going to refill the bottle of QO. The Bloodseeker is going to get a little bit of extra space here, thanks to that IO rotation, thanks to that damage being dealt to the Ember Spirit, absorbing quite a few of those Blood Rights, probably a lot more than should have landed. You can see the pressure though starting to stack up as these support heroes on top lane, they have to deal with this nuisance of a Weaver, and they just don't have the tools to do that. They are going to get again in a little bit of squabble here. QO thinking about turning around. I think maybe overestimated his tank ability. Can't kill off the Bloodseeker.
I feel like this lane is hurting Immortals more than it's providing any benefit, because the Bloodseeker's starting to outlevel.
Oh, chain down with the Bolas, but the Bloodseeker picks up a couple of CS, and now is actually very, very quick. Febby gonna try to get in there with the body blocks, and is gonna save the Ember Spirit. It does seem like you do it for a little while, but then once this Ember Spirit gets, his bottle up, or maybe like level 3 for the level 2 Flame Guard, then you just kind of leave him alone. At a certain point, it seems like there are diminishing returns in this dual lane of Febby and QO that you could really get just as much accomplished with just QO by himself.
I mean, as soon as the IO came in and brought the Bloodseeker back to full health, I think Immortal should have decided to just leave the Ember Spirit back in this lane, because they no longer had kill potential on Bloodseeker. So really all the Kunkka's doing at this point was taking EXP away from this Bloodseeker. And now the Bloodseeker's got a 2-level advantage on this Ember Spirit.
And that hurts. And Febby is just constantly throwing in these torrents. I mean, it's free because he just came from the fountain, so it's not really going to bother him too much, but for sure this Bloodseeker is getting a little bit more ahead than perhaps he should be. Once he gets level 6, then that's really rough for the Ember Spirit. Like, clearly he can't tank these shots from a Bloodseeker with any sort of thirst on him. And, well, now he will have a little bit of time to get some more experience. Allren is in a wrong spot right now. They'll try to go for the Lich and race for it, but it will be first blood drawn by Immortals, looking for second blood as well. Save getting just torn apart by this Weaver. They get the X marks onto the CK with a couple more right clicks. Of course, the Beetle still decreasing that armor. Now minus 13 between the Bug. And, well, they will pull back Febby with the cold feet, but Scourge, he's not that tanky right now. Help coming in, though, from Save. Again with the bottle. Will help to save that CK, and the Shikuchi out will get Forev into a spot of safety here. But in the meantime, looks like there was also that Rupture, which ended up killing the poor level 3 Ember Spirit.
Yeah, so this slows down Immortals' timing by a lot. The Ember Spirit is now almost 4 levels behind this Bloodseeker. And you know, Ember Spirit as a hero is strongest once he hits level 6 and 7. So I think Immortals' best move right now might be to kill this Bloodseeker, sort of bring the rubber band the Ember Spirit back into the lane. But it will be a tough kill. And down bottom, a little bit of action happening here.
Ryu is gonna take a big crit, though. Does have his whole army here working in onto the Brewmaster. Evasion and Stout Shields, quite a bit of survivability, but even though he doesn't get the kill, still gives Bloodseeker like infinite movement speed with that hero being low HP. So he's going to make a little bit of play here towards QO. Gets Chain down. We can see how much that actually matters up against the Raindrop. Chain did absolutely nothing, so it does seem like this Bloodseeker has a chance to just anchor Blue Pikachu in this game. And so up towards top lane, like that attempt on Scourge, I like it, and it got the Immortals quite a bit of golden experience from killing off the supports, but CK still is ready to fight, and Immortals kind of just disrespecting that hero, kind of overestimating, I would say, in general, what a Kunkka can actually do by himself.
Yeah, so here's the movement that Immortals really like to make. It's about 7 minutes in. Although they lose for up top, they have 2 heroes smoked in, getting ready for this mid lane. I wonder if Blue Pikachu actually senses that something's happening, because the Bloodseeker is just in the jungle, and Immortals, they decide to move around. Might be able to get a kill on this Enigma. I mean, Ryu Dota is quite deep in this lane.
This tower does have ice armor, but it was very weak to begin with. Enigma's summons are very fresh. He's going to take it, and now he's probably just dead. And he will get pulled back and just beaten down. Still takes the tower, though, so it's not all that bad, honestly, for the Blue Pikachu side. However, they might lose Allren up towards top. Forev is going to get frozen in place. The Beetle will still get the kill, but the CK should make it a 1-for-1. TP coming in, it was Dubu, is going to find the Frost Blast onto a CK, but who just picks up now the Helm of Iron Will. Takes pretty much no damage from the right clicks of this Lich. Oh, just enough, actually, as Save does tether, but it is just for a split second, not for any regen. Because that last right click did a lot more than I expected it would do, but it's going to be still a 2-for-1.
You say no damage, but the Swarm from the Weaver was almost at its maximum tick, so it was a minus a billion armor effectively. I mean, even a Lich right click will hurt a lot at that point. And actually, Lich is quite close to level 6, so we might see a big team fight happening top with 4 heroes of Immortals rotating in. This is the macro movements of Immortals that I alluded to.
Oh, but they're going to be in a bad spot to start things off. Ember Spirit does use all of his remnants, actually, trying to race for Save, for Scourge. And QO will get 1 kill, but will immediately go down. There was an invisible Bloodseeker tailing them the entire time. They need more catch here. Where's the X marks? Up in 2 seconds. Body blocks a little bit at least. They do Chain Frost. X marks onto the Bloodseeker. No. It's going to be onto Scourge. They make the conservative play and just get the 1 kill that they know they can get. Although I do think they probably could have gotten both of them. Maybe X was still on cooldown for a split second there, but either way, QO does lose his life. They do gain the CK and the IO. It's not going to really do QO any favors, but, you know, if QO does fall a little bit behind, MP and Forev can certainly pick up the slack with these heroes.
I mean, talk about picking up the slack. Even though Immortals felt like they were behind coming out of the early game, I mean, the Ember Spirit was extremely behind, and I guess the Panda got a little bit hurt from laning against an Enigma, but, you know, when you make movements like this where you take out 3 to 4 heroes from Blue Pikachu, you're caught right back out of it. And you can see QO even going for really aggressive plays like that while his team is pressuring the top lane.
Feels bad when Ember Spirit at this point can't kill off a level 3 AA. Cold Feet just narrowly saving Ancient Apparition's ass there, and Ryu Dota is still in this game. Immortals killed him off once, but they left him on this bottom lane just kind of to his own devices. He could have teleported up there with a black hole, but I'm not really sure if that would have done them any favors, Blue Pikachu, so they'll instead just make a play for this bottom tier 2 tower just with the Enigma, just slowly grinding it out, summoning his army, sending it in, rinse repeat forever, and with no one on this bottom lane to address it, tier 2 tower on the bottom is pretty much almost dead already. And we'll get a top tier 1 Immortals, but Ryu just being a broodmother in this game is actually getting himself quite a bit of net worth. Midas is pretty much locked up for him.
And so Blue Pikachu, they sort of have to address 2 things right now. First of all, they need their ultimates on IO and Ancient Apparition in order for their lineup to work. I think whenever you have an IO lineup, it's really reliant on getting like quick pickoffs on the map here and there.
Bloodseeker is going to get chained down. The Rupture goes off onto the Ember Spirit. They do have a Torrent and a Boat and a Chain Frost. IO is here, but again, as you said, is only level 5, and in fact will just feed his own life over, making it a 2 kill instead of just 1. Macro movement, I think we can call that this pretty much the definition of it.
So you see that kind of advantage coming out from the Bloodseeker sort of diminishing. I mean, Immortals sort of hurt themselves from splitting the EXP mid for so long, but now they're caught back right up. They got the tier 1 top, they got the tier 1 mid. Immortals, they can now run around the Blue Pikachu jungle with a little bit less contention. And so I think at some point Immortals are going to start setting up wards in the enemy jungle, playing in the enemy jungle, making sure that Blue Pikachu can't get as much farm as they would like, and actually they're going super aggressive here. They're running towards this Chaos Knight top.
This is obviously spotted. Blind jump in from QO kind of goes the wrong way, and Radiant Scan, the Swarm, they will be very thorough in their search, but they won't find anyone. They do take the tier 1 tower mid lane, but again, this Broodmother, I mean Enigma in this game, not being addressed by Immortals. Hand of Midas is flying out to him with the Blink Dagger that he's already halfway towards. I mean, Immortals, yeah, they are getting quite a bit done around the map. These engagements are working out for them, but still it seems like the farm, just killing off the creeps, is still going much better for Blue Pikachu. And maybe they'll have a chance to show it. Ryu is not going to look to join this fight. MP does have his Blink Dagger now up, and he's going to find a perfect target in that Bloodseeker. There's still no relocate here, so IO can give a little bit of juice, but no, he sends out the Storm Panda to try to deal with the IO while the rest of his aspects deal with the Bloodseeker, and they will be able to clean up at least one of these heroes. The Shark is going to miss as the Purge comes in a little bit too late from that Dispel. Chain Frost now going to bounce through. The Creep Wave arrives, is going to absorb a little bit, and they will X marks to cancel that Black Hole. Trying to go for QO. Jumps in one more time with the clap from MP. Will end up killing off the Ember Spirit, but man, at quite the cost of Blue Pikachu. Alren, I'm not really sure if that Shrine is going to save you up against all these heroes. He'll put his back to a wall and fight to the bitter end, do some damage to Febby. But after all is said and done, Immortals, they use the first split, and it does crush Blue Pikachu.
Yeah, Immortals, they took the first step in that team fight, and as a result, the Bloodseeker gets caught out in a really weird position, and again, actually.
Well, there is going to be a Blade Mail here on the Bloodseeker, and Forev is bleeding. Just gonna chill and hope to God that they don't see him, but they do, because there is a fresh sentry, so that one was perhaps a little bit too much. Maybe if Febby was there right when they started, they could have made that happen, but obviously not the case. Still look at this net worth though, like, yeah, they just tanked that team fight, and they're gonna look to burst down this Bloodseeker again. Blade Mail again up, MP doesn't really have that much damage, and now has to race up against the IO as well. Ice Blast coming in. Immortals, I think, getting a little bit too overconfident in how well those team fights have gone for them.
Yeah, it was a little bit of overconfidence from them, but also a good job by Blue Pikachu to counter initiate with the Wisp and with the other spells. And I think the important takeaway for Immortals is, hey, probably can't burst down the Bloodseeker with just 2 heroes, but Blue Pikachu, they also kind of have to learn from that last team fight to make sure that their positioning is a little bit better. You know, the Panic sort of punished the Bloodseeker for being out of position, and so I think in order for Blue Pikachu to start sort of actually down mid.
Crit does some damage when you got the bug stacking up. There's a medallion here on 4Ev as well. Puts a quick end to Ryu and save. Unfortunately, can save everyone but himself. Well, 4Ev is going to see the Bloodseeker wander in. Time Lapse will let him get out of that Ice Blast, but the damage? Oh, he's still gonna live. All calculated from 4Ev. Rupture countered by TP Squirrels as it always has. It's an easy 2 for none. The Immortal side do get quite a bit in QO. Now with the Veil up, is gonna look to increase his kill power by quite a bit. He's been doing a good amount of damage in the past couple engagements, but certainly coming off of a slow start. QO now, at this point, can do almost peak Ember Spirit things, being level 10.
So Immortals are playing in the enemy jungle, and in order for the Blue Pikachu lineup to work correctly, or specifically the IO lineup to work correctly, Blue Pikachu, they have to get their lanes out, they have to defend their towers, they have to put Immortals in sort of a...
Oh no, save. Well, relocate out, X marks. Ward coverage,
They have
man.
to put Immortals in a position where they can start using Relocate or just use their spells in general to pick off the Immortals heroes, right? Because as long as Immortals are grouped up right now, I feel like their lineup is stronger. And so, instead of sort of pushing out the lane, I mean, the only one pushing out the lanes right now is bottom Bloodseeker, but he's sort of required to defend this top tower, or to at least deter Immortals from pushing this tower. So, as a result, Immortals, they get this 2-2 pretty much for free, and Blue Pikachu, they're not really creating any opportunities for themselves to get an advantage in this game. And Chaos Knight's sort of not a hero that wants to be stuck farming for the entire mid game. He wants to go for pickoffs to sort of propel his net worth.
Ryu does have a black hole out of Invis. That'll set up for sure these 2 kills. And well, he has a Blink Dagger as well, so that was probably going to be set up either way. The Lich and the Weaver going to be the casualties there. Blue Pikachu do get a pretty nice pickup in those 2, but will lose Allrun in the meantime. MP just beating him down with the stick. I don't know if you're getting this impression, but I think it feels like Blue Pikachu don't know that they're so close in farm. Like, they're playing like they're very far behind, when in actuality they, well, I guess now at this point are behind, but they were actually a little bit ahead just a while ago.
Certainly part of that is like an intimidation factor, but again, I think a big part is that their lineup doesn't fight easily into the Immortals lineup. They don't have any answers for the Ember Spirit. Their biggest lockdown is the Black Hole, and if Immortals position themselves carefully, which for the most part they have, except that just now with that Black Hole mid, if Immortals position themselves well, Blue Pikachu don't feel like they have a way into these team fights, and rightfully so. It's quite difficult for them to land a good Black Hole because there's just so many ways to cancel it, and as a result, I feel like their game plan should be focused more on getting as much farm out of the map, trying to get as many kills as possible, but keep yourself safe and keep your side of the map safe. But right now, they haven't really done that, so you'll see that they're just slowly getting out farmed whenever Immortals have all 5 heroes up on the map.
Immortals will be so much more inclined now to 5-man, as they do have this double life now up onto QO. And, just Ember Spirit with Aegis is always pretty good. QO with Aegis is certainly going to fit his playstyle. They do boat in Scourge up towards top. There is a relocate right behind him in save. It is going to not come in time. It was a little bit delayed there. I think the X marks might have canceled it. No, that wasn't even cast. Something happened.
The Searing Chains cancels the relocate.
Oh, he chained the IO as he came in. Okay.
Chains has a weird... I think stuns in general interrupt.
Ryu just killed himself. Like, he just walked here and just died.
Interesting. But yeah, steering chains, I believe, interrupts relocate. There's a lot of things that interrupt relocate, particularly stuns. For some reason, I think chains applies a short stun, or it's got some interesting interaction. So relocate won't go off. They get the kill on 2 heroes, and Immortals, they begin to solidify their lead. Start working on this tier 2. They're trying to choke out as much map control from Blue Pikachu as possible, so that the sort of threat of the IO and the Bloodseeker is at its maximum effect.
Ding ding, here comes a Shark over in the mid lane. This time though, there is quite a bit of backup, and they're fighting in behind a tier 2. Triple jump in though for QO. Doesn't quite kill off the Bloodseeker. Now the turnaround as they try to go for the Weaver with time lapse will deny them that. Got the split out from MP. Just looking for a target. X marks onto Scourge. He's gonna be fine. That is a little bit of damage being thrown either way, but all the ultimates there from Immortals were used. No charges left on the Ember, who that's actually MP who's going to get hit with that Rupture. He's going to have a lot of evasion to get through here. Jump in, Black Hole lands onto 2. Febi's out of mana, out of cooldown, so he can't cancel that. They'll take down Forev. They have MP pretty much locked up here. He's putting up a hell of a fight, but he will eventually go down. But now the Chain Frost is committed. QO is going to be back with a vengeance. Double kill for the Ember Spirit. Chain Frost still bouncing with BKB on the Bloodseeker holding strong. QO's got it back off. Ryu's the only one chasing though. Maybe overestimating his allies because they all just backed off instead. Febi has another Shark and another X. He just needs a target and he's found one. X marks. Here comes the big bad Shark. Straight into the Blade Mail. It doesn't matter. Double kill for the Kunkka, and Aegis Ember Spirit showing up pretty big there. That looked pretty good for Blue Pikachu, honestly, but just ran out of gas towards the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, Blue Pikachu looked like the team fight was going really well for them, and then as soon as the Aegis popped and as soon as the BKB was starting to tick down, I think they sort of had a little bit of an overextension, and as a result, they lose probably 2 extra heroes that they didn't have to lose, the Enigma and Bloodseeker. So, really well fought by Immortals. But Blue Pikachu, by getting a couple of kills there, they actually keep themselves in the game. They also expended the Aegis on the Ember Spirit, which sort of slows down the win condition from Immortals. And I think both teams for now will reset and decide what they will do next. But definitely Blue Pikachu playing on the back foot there. Their Chaos Knight doesn't have nearly the amount of farm that he wants at this point in the game.
And usually at this point, as CK, you figure, hey, I have my armlet, Phantasm up, I can just insta-give any one guy. And we can see QO, he's going to miss quite a few of his spirits, get stunned. He's just gonna run out after having rooted the CK in the whole mess of creeps, still just playing games with them. He doesn't have an Aegis, but he's still confident enough to do this. In the meantime, bottom lane, MP does get ruptured. He has a split. Will he use it? No, that might end up killing him off. And he will, in fact, go down. Could have split for safety. Febi, in the meantime, caught in the back end. Will get stunned by the Enigma. With the Blood Right and the Midnight Pulse, they should have this kill locked up as well. They'll lose save on the return trip. We see a little bit of power here coming out from the Blue Pikachu side as they take those kills without expending a Black Hole. They in fact didn't have it. But I was saying, like, the CK, at this point you could expect to pop the supports immediately. That's just not the case, given his farm and given the fact that Lich Dubu has actually gone for only 2-point sacrifice, maxing the Iced Armor and the Nova, so the illusion play for CK is not super easy.
Yeah, I mean, Kunkka's not an easy kill either, especially when you have the boat buff. And Alrun actually goes down to the Weaver, to Forev on the right side of the map. You know, Blue Pikachu, they net 2 very nice kills in the bottom lane there, and I think those are the opportunities that they have to continue looking for whenever Immortals sort of overextend themselves or sort of overstep their boundaries per se. I think they have to go for these kills as a IO, Bloodseeker, Chaos Knight lineup, just because Chaos Knight and Bloodseeker, they're not naturally fast farmers like, say, a Sven or say the Ember Spirit, and so in order for Blue Pikachu to keep themselves in that game, they have to keep going for these kills, keep trying to find ways to actually fight into the Immortals lineup.
Losing an Enigma first thing is not how you want to start that. He does have the IO, but he can't get him out of there. And now Save, oh, he actually didn't even try because he didn't even have to relocate, so Save is going to go down as well. I think the Enigma just didn't have he didn't have Blink Dagger. Did he blink into that position? There's not much vision here for the Dire, but either way, it's still going to be a 2-0 and a tower, at least this tower for Immortals. As Bloodseeker's trying to push top, but QO is going to very quickly deal with that, and he's actually very close to his Radiance.
You know, Ryu did have his blink there, but I don't think he was expecting the Ember Spirit to jump that quickly and that far to catch him. And I think you have to give credit to Immortals and to QO for placing this ward on the cliff, which spotted out Ryu Dota. And as a result, they get a pretty much free tier 1 and tier 2.
The Ice Blast is coming in. They do have the Rupture. Unfortunately, the Rupture is a little bit too far, and there's no one to really capitalize on it. Well, QO is going to be in a pretty safe spot. Here comes the boat. Will apply the rum buff to him. They're maybe able to focus down this Ember Spirit, but still with the split, Scourge McDuck will be disengaged from QO, still alive, and he's going to jump over the cliffside and actually is still alive. Oh my god, how did he live that long? He will eventually be brought down by Save of all heroes, as MP is going to resume his main form. Blue Pikachu have found the opening that they were looking for, and they need more kills. The pullback onto MP. Gotta fight through evasion and a really tanky Brewmaster, but they will cut through him. Ultimately, 3 on the deck for Immortals as Blue Pikachu crashed the party really hard. Again, another fight where they just get the initiation off without even using that Enigma Black Hole. He still has it, although you do have to be careful though. Scourge is maybe a little bit too far up. He is now in aggro range. He's gonna stun this Weaver, do quite a bit of damage. Weaver is gonna get hit with the Black Hole, kind of blind there from Ryu. Does kill off for Ev, does set up for the kill on Febby, and it is going to be a delayed team wipe there for Blue Pikachu as they show up big to that fight.
Yeah, and Blue Pikachu, they take an excellent fight there. They catch Immortal sort of out of position around their tier 2, especially with that Rupture on the Ember Spirit. I mean, as soon as the Ember Spirit was ruptured, he didn't exactly have a Spirit to sort of get himself out of that weird area, and as a result, Blue Pikachu, they sort of just run over Immortals. I mean, the Chain Frost clipped the Chaos Knight, but it wasn't actually able to clear these illusions, and as a result, you know, Chaos Knight sort of had a free time during that fight, and they went pretty big there, with the exception of Ancient Apparition getting caught top lane. But you know, Blue Pikachu, they sort of close the gap here, right? They swing the net worth approximately 7 or 6k, and this Chaos Knight is starting to work on his BKB. The Bloodseeker has his BKB, and Immortals, they don't really deal with these BKBs very well. Like, they have to disengage because they don't have high amounts of physical damage. The Weaver only has a Diffusal, and looks like he's starting to get started on a Dragon Lance and Aghanim Scepter.
This is looking pretty good for Blue Pikachu, as you said, to bring it kind of back to parity. And this is going to give the Enigma a little bit more time to get that farm up, try to get the cooldowns reduced here on that Black Hole. And once that happens, Immortals, again, they do still have these answers to that Black Hole. It only really matters if they actually do in fact land. But they have picked up some pretty big items of their own. Brewmaster Hyperstone towards an AC, which he will divert away from in favor of the BKB. As I said, Weaver is going for some pretty fat items of his own, including an Ags down the line. But Ether Lens on the Kunkka, perhaps the biggest item is this Radiance completed on the Ember Spirit. Just a little bit more AoE for the fights. Immortals can certainly take the next engagement, despite how the last couple engagements weren't exactly perfect for them. We'll start with the smoke up towards the top lane. The Ember Spirit does have travels, so he can join in, but there's no real creeps here. They will just wander right by Save, but find perhaps the better target in the Bloodseeker. This is probably a BKB forced out. Oh, unless it's chain stun perfectly. Oh, he's going to get the BKB, but he's still going to go down in this fight. And in the meantime, QO starts a fight with everyone, picks off Save, but he's out of charges to get out. So he will give his life for that IO. I'm not sure about that.
You know, that's not the worst exchange for Blue Pikachu, right? You get a little bit of extra farm in their AA and Cast Line. I think the biggest thing out of all of this, though, is Immortals are starting to get working on Roshan. If they end up having an Aegis on one of these Immortals heroes, it makes them a lot more capable of taking the next team fight, especially if Blue Pikachu sort of have to expend some pretty long cooldown ultimates in order to win these team fights.
Likely will
actually,
be for Ev grabbing the Aegis here.
Probably MP if I had to guess. You know, ideally you get it on the Ember Spirit, but he's not.
Oh, Ryu.
Oh,
why? BKB doesn't really protect you that much up against Weaver, but you do get the Malphus off beforehand. Chain Frost onto the CK now, just bouncing through onto him, and his illusions will take him down. Great Black Hole, but there's no follow-up, so he's just kind of awkwardly standing there waving his arms. The relocation does come in from the south. but it's a little bit too late. The fight is almost essentially over already for Ev. Doesn't have the Aegis nor the cheese, so he will go down. QO is going to respond shortly, and MP going to resume his main form. Save does yank him out, but the X mark sticks onto the Bloodseeker, so he's going to get pulled right back in. He's going to try to TP out one more time. They don't have enough damage through physical alone to kill him off. Blue Pikachu make a 2-for-1 exchange. The Aegis, where was the cheese? The cheese was consumed there by someone.
Bebby, I believe, was the one that picked it up, so he would have been the one to consume it. And you know, Blue Pikachu, it seemed like Ryu Dota had a good idea of initiating there, especially since Immortals were sort of clumped up, but there was no follow up to the Black Hole. He got kind of in a weird position.
They dive in really deep. MP throws his Aegis away in order to gain that IO, who's down for 45 seconds, and MP only has a 5-second respawn time. They get a double as they also catch up to the Bloodseeker, and Alren, the easiest kill on the map, is going to be saved for last. Ice Blast onto Febby. Febby is just going to rum himself up just for safety. I don't think that was anywhere near lethal damage anyway, and yeah, he'll be fine as he does X-mark himself back to the fountain. The Enigma is back. The CK, they're back, but they don't have their ultimates. MP doesn't have his ultimate either, to be fair, and they'll just try to go in for the Ember Spirit, but the Sleight of Fist will give him a little bit more time. Chain Frost now is up again. Scourge is going to try to rush down QO. QO is going to survive? No way. Oh my god, I think there was a miss at like the very tail end of it, but Ryu cannot chase for this. Like maybe suicide for the Ember Spirit. He's going to get some help from Save, but still Forev is doing the deeps, and Ryu, now caught with the bugs, is going to just get right-clicked down by Forev. Rio's going to set up the Midnight Pulse, which will drive the rest of them away. MP, only a couple seconds left until he has another split. He will blink out of the Ice Blast. Ryu's positioning, got to watch out there. You go too far, and you're going to get, again, collapsed upon because the Ember Spirit is being X-marked back to the fountain, so he's back. And he's ready to fight in just a little bit. In the meantime, they'll just set up with the Demolish on this Earth aspect. Just take down these towers. It is a very powerful ability. 270 bonus damage on this little Earth Panda. Earth Panda is going to get jumped, but blinks out before the Midnight Pulse can damage him. Man, these damage over time spells are something really wonky.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tech rate on them, and I think Immortals, they're showing that their lineup and their players in general are capable of abusing these positional errors from Blue Pikachu. And Blue Pikachu, they sort of went into that fight one by one. I mean, it started with the Enigma sort of walking into the river after that Roshan steal, or Roshan completion by Immortals, and as a result, you know, they haven't really been able to show the full force of their team fight in the last couple of minutes.
QO's gonna run into literally the entirety of Blue Pikachu and just get obliterated. Here comes a boat, which would have actually killed off the AA if Febby was there, but in standard QO fashion, goes in a little bit too far and gets picked off, and now the Kunkka forced to Yules himself. There is some heroes nearby, but not nearly enough to actually back him up. Ryu now hunting with the Black Hole. Can't quite catch up to Forev, so good guy QO gonna give Blue Pikachu a little bit of extra cash in this engagement, but I think they can kind of afford those losses, honestly. Like, they're still just that far ahead.
They can, and you know, Blue Pikachu, their lineup, I feel, in the ultra late game probably performs a little bit better against Immortals, especially if this Ember Spirit doesn't rack up enough damage. And so if Blue Pikachu continue to keep themselves in the game, I can see a scenario where their lineup sort of just runs over the Immortals lineup, right? Especially because there's no answers to the BKB Black Hole. The Enigma's starting to get close to an Octarine Core, and down in bottom lane.
They're gonna wait this out a little while longer. The Storm aspect is dead. The Earth aspect is Blood Rage, and the Fire aspect is also dead. MP does have a blink out, but if he does blink to the south, there will be a hero to catch him. So he's got to blink to the north, actually. Now that you can, okay, rupture that, and they'll just straight kill it.
Hell yeah.
You don't really see that all that often, all three of those aspects going down. But MP just playing a little bit too aggressively by himself, following in QO's footsteps. Speaking of playing too aggressively, Forev is going to try to rat the range racks and is going to now be on the run. Reality Rift's going to pull him back in. There's a 3-second stun there. Ice Blast coming in for Ev, though. It's so slippery, and QO making the exact same play as before, except this time works out. Is going to get pulled back, though. And Ryu does have no mana for the Black Hole, so he's just going to walk out of there. Oh, no. That means QO is actually still going to live, gets a double kill. Scourge with the BKB is holding the fort right now, but BKB only lasts for so long. Chain Frost going to be dragged over to the Bloodseeker, back up to the CK, back to the Bloodseeker, and now with the right clicks, he finally does get a Phantasm off, but these illusions are like at such a low amount of HP, it might not even do anything. QO is going to clean them out immediately, so the Phantasm is thrown down the tubes, as Immortals do sacrifice MP, but we could say for the greater good. They show up real big, QO makes his play, and this time it works out.
Yeah. Immortals have a little bit of time to get these shrines, solidify their map control. I don't think they're in a hurry to make anything happen, especially since that black hole is still online for Blue Pikachu. But you can see Immortals are just doing a really good job of catching Blue Pikachu out of position, sort of creating these scenarios where Kyo is allowed to get these pickups on heroes like the Ancient Apparition.
And he has more than enough damage. Just burst down those softer support heroes, adding that Shiva's Guard Arctic Blast to the mix. Of course, certainly going to be helpful, and he's holding on to a double damage rune. 1600 gold after having picked up that completed Shiva's. A couple deaths here and there for QO, but still is getting a lot of gold on top of the net worth chart. Blue Pikachu, though, big smoke up. Going to show the Bloodseeker off in the mid lane still, while trying to play it cool with everyone else. Unfortunately, they're not going to go in the right direction. Febby is going to show himself in, and he has a Yule Scepter, but even if he does get it off, I'm pretty sure he's dead here. Maybe he'll cast a boat. He's dead before he can even get that channeling off. Cast animation off, rather. Mass TP's back, though, and ultimately it will just be that one kill on the Kunkka. QO's chains fail on the TP CK, so he can't get that one, and it looks like that could have been huge if he was able to chain him down. But it will just be the Kunkka to kind of tank the smoke gank.
Yeah, Immortals, they lose a hero, but they sort of outmaneuver Blue Pikachu there, sort of force them back to their top tower, so... Oh,
they'll find the Lich, but Ryu is kind of by himself right now, and he doesn't actually do that much damage. He's just an Enigma. Forev, though, is going to get ruptured over in mid. Time-lapse will give him quite a bit of HP, and they do still see him with another sentry drop. They'll take down Forev, but now here comes QO. He's actually very low on mana, so he can't get this kill easily. Will in the end. Backup coming in there from Dubu. Large duration of Sleight of Fist since there's so many units there. Chain Frost coming through onto all the illusions. They will lose QO one more time. Where is MP? MP is on top. And Immortals kind of disrespecting these heroes of Blue Pikachu, underestimating how tanky they are. As there is a Reaver on the CK. He's not too far away from the heart, so even though you can Chain Frost slowly kill off his illusions, they last for so long, and they do so much damage.
You can see the net worth difference sort of dissipating, and
MP is going to jump in towards the mid lane now. Stun, Cyclone. Where's the Dispel? Where's the backup? There's a Kunkka here. They'll mess up the combo. And the Chaos Knight doesn't really ever die to these little pandas. The Bloodseeker, in the meantime, is going to find Dubu in the back. He's going to use the Rupture on that Lich. Dubu is just dead here to the circle. Boat is coming in, will also miss, and it seems like Immortals, just being a little bit too reckless in their positioning, are now being substantially punished.
Yeah, they're being quite reckless, and this Bloodseeker has now propelled himself to almost highest net worth. The Chaos Knight's starting to come online, right? He's got his heart, and actually, the biggest part of this now is that Blue Pikachu, they get started on Roche. I mean, if they get this, it sort of puts Immortals in a weird position.
Alren was hiding behind the tree, and so was Forev, so they didn't see each other. Could have been a very dangerous situation. Instead, they do still know what's going on. Forev, though, just has to make sure he does not get ruptured. This Bloodseeker doesn't actually have it. Chasing forward, there's a tier 1 and a shrine here still live for Immortals, so if they do end up going down, the reinforcement vastly favors the Radiant. Ryu, that blink, well, I'm not really sure if that was the play. Still not dead just yet. X-Mark's back in, though, into the Torrent. No boat coming in. He's going to get the BKB and the Black Hole off, focusing onto QO now with the right clicks. They'll take him down. He doesn't have a buyback. Ryu is going to blink out safe and sound. And Forev, he's in a little bit of trouble here. He's ruptured, and there's no true sight. MP going to do what he can versus save. Chain Frost once again being thrown out, and all these heroes just not dying for Blue Pikachu, and they are dying for the Immortal side. They will Yules the CK out of his TP. They should be able to bring down at least this one hero, and the relocate on the IO. He does have not any heroes to tether to in range, so they will just chase down for save. There's an X mark there just in case, and they will be able to make it an even exchange numerically. But for Immortals, they run into quite a few problems just getting disabled and locked down and killed off before they get anything off. It seems like they really need like Lincoln Sphere type items, or at least this Ags to be completed on the Weaver, because Rupture is kind of wrecking them. So is Black Hole.
Yeah, Lincoln Spheres, BKBs, or I think just in general taking these team fights a little bit more carefully for Immortals, right? Just because Blue Pikachu, now that they have that BKB and Enigma, it's pretty much a guaranteed Black Hole every fight. And Immortals, you know, instead of taking these 5-on-5 team fights where Blue Pikachu make the first move, maybe sort of continue to split push and continue to keep Blue Pikachu in a position where they're not allowed to 5-man and take a strong position around the Roche Pit. And so, you know, taking a look at that fight recap, which is gone now, you know, the net worth difference didn't really change just because both teams exchanged a lot of heroes, but if anything, this puts Blue Pikachu in a better position just because I think that until Kiwo starts building damage items on Ember Spirit, there's really no way for Immortals to clear these Chaos Knight illusions, especially since Chaos Knight is very close to his heart and already has his BKB, so pretty much very, very strong against the magic damage heavy lineup of Immortals.
Yugu's gonna ditch his entire kit before being taken down by that Bloodseeker. There's an Ice Blast that'll land onto Febby. The Bloodseeker's going to take quite a beating here from MP, but the BKB and the Silver Edge Invis will be able to slip out of there. Boat coming in now. It doesn't connect onto the main CK, though. His illusions all have been taken down. Now here comes the Black Hole. The BKB will be perfectly protected. That's 2 more down. Kunkka immediately going to buy out as they will still try to chase forward, looking for the Bloodseeker. They'll take him down in a 2-for-3 exchange. Now everyone else trying to retreat. Mass TP's out. One gets X'd, another gets torrented. And the AA of all heroes is guaranteed to live, but Ryu's going to be focused down by MP. They'll take down Forev. Scourge will, just with right clicks for just a really lucky set of crits. And now he's got to fight up against MP. Mischance is something that he doesn't have an answer to. So the evasion, the haze, is going to give Immortals a slightly favorable exchange, but I mean, all this gold being traded back and forth, it does feel like absolutely none of it is going into this Ember Spirit's pockets. He's just falling further and further behind, at least where he was.
You know, I've actually never seen a Panda this sort of able to fight an enemy team so well. I mean, MP just beat the crap out of all of Blue Pikachu's heroes, and actually he's got his plus 140 attack speed on now, so I'm pretty sure he can 1v1 even the Bloodseeker.
Drunken Haze is a hell of a drug. And oh my god. Yeah, he ate like a couple moon shards and he's gonna pop the BKB, just straight rush the racks. Oh my god, this doesn't seem fair. And now he's gonna split out. And they do have the demolish. They will boat onto the AA, try to keep him on the sidelines. MP, he just went in like by himself to take racks. He's like, guys, this game is getting boring for me. I'm just gonna go ahead and claim another set of super creeps. Thank you very much. Can he actually get out of here, though? Because he doesn't have that much HP. Chain Frost is there. MP will blink out of the Blood Right. But with Bloodseeker on his tail, let's see how broken that evasion really is. Well, it's going to be turned off. He will haze. And he can't fight into the Blade Mail. MP is going to get out of the circle, though, as QO does reinforce. Onto the Bloodseeker. They're going to just man-fight in. And MP is Blood Rage, so he heals up from that. And finds another in Allren. Can't heal off of that one. But they will take down 2, including the Bloodseeker with no buyback. Ryu now is going to get X marks back. He is going to think about turning around with the Black Hole. It's only onto QO, though. Scourge is going to try to bring down this Ember Spirit evasion. Not going to do quite enough. They will lose the Ember Spirit again for like the 3rd time in a row. But for Ev, he's ratting the bottom lane. Scourge is being pulled all over the place. They just don't have any good disables to deal with this Weaver who doesn't even have a time lapse. He's just going in with the perma invis from the Shikuchi Arcane Rune. And he's hiding. Oh, Ryu in the meantime is going to get hit with the Torrent. Some bugs as well. They do get the Reality Rift onto Forev, but he's able to scuttle away. Bloodseeker's still down for a minute. MP just needs some regen. He's going to teleport back, pick up a freaking Basher, and then gets X marks right back into the fray. Oh my god, all those Eidolons just one-hit crit from the Kunkka. And they pull back Forev one more time, but there's no disables again. Chain Frost is just the Nova, really, but they start bashing the CK, and MP says, what split? I don't need split. I'm just going to wreck everyone with right clicks. I'm with you, man. I've never seen a Brewmaster get to this stage. He will haze up the CK. BKB is going to get rid of that. They're going to try to take down MP. He does have the split, though. He's just going to use that, focus down the racks, or focus down whoever he wants to, really. Feppy's in the mix as well. He's not quite as durable. They do Black Hole onto only 2 of the aspects, and the Earth Panda's still hitting the racks with that extra demolish damage. Oh no, Ferev's still on the periphery. He's just focusing down these softer support heroes as well. And I just want to see what MP can do when he actually resumes his main form. Is he going to fight this one out? Yeah, he's just going to start beating the hell out of the IO. Ice Blast will kill him off finally. They will also catch up to Dubu, kill him off as well. Ferev has slipped away in the meantime. But Blue Pikachu now facing down Megas, as this Brewmaster is just a menace. Oh my god.
I mean, I thought Immortals didn't really have enough physical damage, and then I forgot that there was a Brewmaster in the game, and then I also ignored the fact that he was very, very farmed, and he's doing just so much work in these teamfights, right? I mean, Immortals, they sort of lacked, in the last couple of teamfights prior to this, it seemed like they sort of lacked the amount of damage required to really take down single targets like the Chaos Knight, the Bloodseeker, and the Enigma. But now that MP has reached this stage, he's just like 5-shotting everyone in quick order. And now, you know, Immortals are in a really comfortable position. They have Megas. Pretty much the only move that Blue Pikachu can make right now is to sort of force buyouts or try to get their own Raxes or even a tier 4. But
try to go for the win here. It's the only move they have left. Gotta say, I'm not super up on their odds. They will jump in with QO, just trying to thin the herd of these illusions. Shiva's guards and the Sleight of Fist. He's not taking that much damage just yet, but now Broken is gonna get pulled all over the place and will go down, but he does have a buyback. They're still focusing down onto the tier 4s. 15 seconds left until the Juggernaut of Brewmaster comes back. The jump in will kill off the CK. There goes all this building hitting damage. Even if they lose QO right now, the damage has already been done. He'll get caught in the Black Hole, but Ryu, he's lost all his backup, and this should be GG called. It will be. Blue Pikachu make a pretty good attempt there, honestly. Like, that didn't look like it was going to be the easiest thing to do for Immortals, but once you get Megas, you set the enemy on a timer, and that is going to be a 2-0 sweep here as Immortals knock down Blue Pikachu.
you know, the laning phase seemed like it went well for Blue Pikachu, right? The Enigma and the Bloodseeker got a lot out of their lanes, but Immortals, they make a couple of quick moves in the early to mid game, establish themselves a lead, sort of have the pick-off advantage on Blue Pikachu. And Blue Pikachu, they showed a good, they put up a good fight. You know, in the mid to late game, they had a lot of really good black holes and a lot of really good punishments for Immortals when the Immortals were overextending. But, you know, I don't think it was enough. Immortals, they held their lead. MP managed to get, you know, a couple of really good items and then just smack the crap out of everyone. So, well, really well played to Immortals.
Immortals are going to push themselves forward one more round. And guys, spoilers, their next opponent, that match was being played at the exact same time. It is going to be the Dire. I believe that game is going to be played tomorrow. But we have one more game coming up next. It's going to be the losers of both of these games. So it's going to be SF Express going up against Blue Pikachu. So we get to watch a little bit more of these Pikachu players. But for right now, we're going to have to take a break because that game is not scheduled for another hour. I know, right? It's like the worst thing in the world. But guys, we'll be sticking around here. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Franz. You can follow us on our Twitter handles. They're both in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Very easy. And guys, again, Blue Pikachu versus SF Express. It's going to be happening in an hour. We'll see you then. For now, GG.